Hey everyone, Justin Brawler here, and I'm giving you my review of Shokugeki no Food Wars, episode 19, Declaration of War. And this is the episode after finding out that from last week's episode that after Soma defeated Akira, it turns out that also the fact that Eren also passed her exam, it turns out the majority of the rebel students didn't. So the beginning of the episode had a rundown of all the candidates, for all the rebel students who participated from Alice all the way down to the rest of the Pulsar dormitory students, as opposed to the Pulsar dorm residents. Ultimately, the fact they all failed, except for Super 2, Takumi and Megumi. But aside from seeing those two, it was mostly shut that the majority of the rebel students failed their exam because they found they were going to be against the Elite 10. They were going against some of the Elite 10. Unfortunately, they weren't able to beat and pass their exam. So it kind of said not getting involved, at least some of the 4 students in disarray, because of the fact they all probably will be second years together, but unfortunately they cannot, since they all failed. But, aside the fact that Takumi and Megumi are still fine enough, but they got the horrible news about that everybody else passed. Megumi's distraught because the residents that she became friends with over the course of the first year, ended up failing too, while Takumi, being the older brother, is worried about his little brother, Isami. Well, the younger brother, because they're both twins, but Isami is more younger. But there's one way, but someone decided to declare that there's one way in order to save their expulsions, including Akira's, is to take the majority of the seats of the Elite 10. By that means he's challenging the Elite 10 to a Shokugeki. Basically a 4-on-4 Shokugeki. That's what he was going for, but everybody else in here just shot the fact that it's like completely impossible. Because there's no way that even the Central were to go against, even the Central will say yes to it, there's no point of benefit in winning, because not only that they have to agree to this, but something equal wager has to be than just Elite 10 seats and their expulsions. So, like, since the Elite 10 seats are perceived to be one of the most honored seats for any students to get, against students' expulsions, that could be equal, because the rules has both parties have to agree to it. Something of equal value has to be wagered between the two parties in order to warrant Shokugeki, and must be approved by a board, by board administration. So instead, it being that someone originally wanted to play that, but since someone here had talked to Rainbow Senpai, couldn't get an answer from Rainbow Senpai saying yes. Eren decides to go out to find her father, who actually was here around seeing how the sites were going for the part of the all part of Hokkaido. Right before he was about to leave, Eren decides to confront her father, Azumi, for the very first time for like in a while, ever since season 3. Ultimately intended to be lenient with the students' expulsions, but eventually he cannot. Being headmaster, because they're role students against my central, I had no choice but to expel them if they fail. So eventually this led to someone stepping up, to challenge him to a Shokugeki. My team against your team, for the Elite 10 seats and for the expulsion of the students who failed. Even with such determination from someone to go against Azami, unfortunately, Azami still decides to wait for until out of nowhere, barely popped out of nowhere, like unannounced like he did last time, Jojo, Soma's dad, comes into the scene. And because this has been a while since Jojo and Azumi had seen each other since their high school days, it's gonna be a little strange reunion. More than that, not exactly out. There was like no strange banter between the two, but just casually speaking, even though Azumi supposedly claimed the fact that he was basically a please notice me senpai character to Jojo back when they were kids. But being the fact that they're adults and they haven't really say anything, he still calls Jojo senpai after all these years. So it's still nice to be here to see. It's still surprising to hear that. So after you bands, excuse me, yeah, I can't my breath here. So Jojo decides to lay down to Azumi. Our team against your team in the Shokugeki, but this time a team versus team Shokugeki, which is considered a rare tradition in Tutsuki Academy, but still considered a thing. While the one-on-one Shokugeki has been the main feature, there has been a rare tradition in Tutsuki Academy where multiple chefs, and one team against another multiple team of chefs on the other side, compete against each other in a somewhat simulated battle instant tag team match in a team versus team Shokugeki called Regiment de Cuisine, or Team Shokugeki, at least it's a translation in the anime here, was known as the Regiment Shokugeki. So basically, so they're going to have rebel students, what's left of them, versus Central with the Elite 10 students. And the wager is between the two is that Jojo will throw all his ideals of cooking and join up with Azumi for his ideals. And alongside that, close down Yukita Diner for good. This guy's shutting down Soma because that's basically his livelihood. He wants to take control of that. He wants to continue running the diner by his own image. Even to the shock of both Megumi, Takumi, and Erina, the fact that the diner he built is going to be shut down. So Azumi decides to agree to it. Okay, we're gonna get Shokugeki between the rebel students and the Elite 10. So that's gonna be a nice time. Even I was surprised to see that in the manga, but seeing how that translates to the anime, it's just we're not gonna see. But also, I had to say, we're not gonna see the full Shokugeki just yet until much later. I'm saying at the beginning of season 4, whenever this gets confirmed for season 4. Most likely, it probably will. But I can't exactly say for certain when we're going to get that. But I don't know about investment. So instead, we move forward from that scene to the training sequence, where it turns out they actually get a full description on exactly how Team Shokugeki works when Gin shows up to the scene. But Gin ultimately had to pop before even Gin explains to the scene, but to both Soma, Megumi, and Takumi had to explain that's how Team Shokugeki works. He had to confirm and apologize because he kind of basically used these kids without their consent in order to have Jojuro meet up with Asumi here. So he apologized, but Takumi said, we're also very grateful for the fact that you're letting the students take down Asumi here. So this is how Team Shokugeki works for those who didn't quite understand from those reading the manga of those anime watchers. Basically, you have a set of chefs on both sides. So say a team of 5 versus another team of 5. And each member randomly go against each other on either side, see who wins. So it's like one team has 2 wins, has 2 losers, while the other side has 3 losers. Then 2 versus 2 go against each other in a way. And who's the last standing in your hand, whoever the last person standing has the most wins per se, is the winner. But the big main difference between both the traditional Shokugeki and the regiment Shokugeki, or should I say the Team Shokugeki, is that teamwork is the make or break. And teamwork is the definite factor here, where that can make it or break the team format, how the flow of the team works if teamwork is no longer there. So without teamwork, both teams cannot coexist. And being dealing with clash of ideals between both chefs here can also get very sporadic, and how one chef wants to work out this way, but the other chef wants to help out this way, all things like scramble, so it can break the team, but also it can also make the team if it can find some equal footing. So eventually, excuse me, and really I could sure have some water with me on this. So the rebel side needs to work together as a team in order to take down the Elite 10. So eventually they have to learn exactly how to do that, so getting some special training done, which came so much later in the episode, which goes sort of the last third parts of the episode, where Gin and Jojo had their banter because they haven't there's some tension between the two since high school, since Jojo was this laid back kind of person, while Gin was supposed to be this serious stern guy. But Jojo's lazy persona just kind of clashed with Gin's seriousness to the point where the two just basically argue pick on each other like kids. Which eventually led to Jojo and Gin. I don't know why someone answered this, but Jojo and Gin forming teams up with Takumi and Megumi and Soma and Erina to train. That's how the episode ends. Basically, we have to see the episode where it ends with this. Both the old man Nakiri sends him on and decides to lay down the challenge when he mediates the team training here. That's a very sort of French dish I made. I'm not going to pronounce that dish, because there's no way in hell I'm going to pronounce a French dish perfectly. So he decides to mediate the team battle, see how the teamwork stands. Team Gin, on your hand, managed to work out so far, while Team Saiba doesn't work out because the bickering between father and son, as to kind of what you expected from a father-son duo of chefs, to come down to. That's usually the end for the episode, but I do want to point out there's also there's sort of a flashback we got a flashback here, roughly 6 months ago at the time when Jojo visited the Totsuki Academy, visited the dorm again, saw his Soma. He met up with Senzamon Dono, Omenakity, telling him that Azumi is doing some things some very shady dealings in Asia, and eventually he'll make his way to Totsuki Academy and probably do something very heinous, since eventually he did. And the fact that Anna will most likely be in the forefront of him taking control, since Anna secretly fears him, though just show it, she does fear him in a way. Jojo claims that the only group of people who can save her are her high school friends, or high school students that Soma has met. From the Pulsar 2 students to her cousin Alice, Rio, Akira, the Aldini brothers, and the Pulsar dorm residents. So much generation. That including on the line side, basically you can throw in Kuga Senpai, you can throw in basically Ishiki Senpai because he's like 1 year older than her. He's seriously technically kind of part in the way of so much generation, but probably not, but almost technically in a way. But mostly all the first years that took place during the autumn elections. Basically you can say so much generation from someone's time when he was the first year, along with everybody else that I just mentioned. Being the fact that both Omenakity and Jojo are saying that the only person who could save Erina from her father is basically Soma. So there is a lot of pressure going in there. Those they don't tell that Soma specifically. Well, except for Omenakity, that's a huge like burn on Soma's shoulders. But he still manages to uphold it somehow. So basically that's basically the end of it. So we have the declaration between the fact that the rebel students will go against Azumi's Wrestle Central. So we're gonna eventually later on the line we're going to see the British Shokugeki between the two sides, but that's not gonna happen until like very much later. We only have like I think a grand total of by this point by part 2 standards I'd say 7 episodes been released. So it's really unclear how many episodes part 2 is gonna end. Part 2 has. And I cannot exactly discern that we're going to see the Shokugeki we're going to see the beginning parts. We're going to see like the introduction to the Shokugeki by the end of part 2, while the actual battles will take place as its own following season because how many battles they have and how many moments are going to be composed inside those Shokugekis takes an entire season of them all. So we have to wait until basically next season, most likely in the fall and next spring. So basically, we have to wait until see then. As for this season, we have the team battle training and also a flashback to go through first, so that's all that comes down there else. That's all that comes down here. That's the end of this video. So until then, if you like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends, and next time in the next video. Laters!